Hey guys, and welcome to the Round 1 wrap-up. Let's do it. Taking a look at last week's playoffs games, let's start with myself versus Dan. I predicted that I would win this game, which I did, but both teams were pretty pathetic. I got saved by Rogers and Lacey, but not really two better people to get saved by, so that's the way that goes. In Weber versus Mark, Weber's team just didn't show up, only scoring about 68 points, including his team's namesake, LaShawn McCoy, who really hasn't been showing up all year. Hopefully for Weber, he's back to normal next year for him. In Craig versus Baus, Craig was able to defeat Baus by 20 points. Baus's running backs really didn't show up to that matchup. In Al versus Dan, Al is now on probation for leaving Deshaun Jackson in, even though he was ruled out before the game. It wouldn't really have mattered, though, as Dan's team crushed, literally only missing the all-time high score in our league by 2 points, scoring almost 186 points. Speaking of Dan's team, we all heard the news that Cam Newton was involved in an off-the-field injury when his truck rolled over 3 times. Cam Newton is likely out this week, if not for the rest of the fantasy football playoffs. This puts up an interesting challenge for Dan, who is now rolling with Derek Anderson as his starting quarterback. Looking ahead and staying on the Dan theme, let's take a look at Craig versus Dan. Craig's kind of running into a red-hot buzzsaw, obviously, as Dan just came off a 186-point game. But of course, Craig's hoping that Dan cooled off quite a bit with the Cam Newton injury. Just taking a look at this game, I think that ESPN has Dan projected to win by 5 points, but they're also projecting Marquise Colston to score almost 19, which I think is way too high. Dan had this to add about his playoff matchup.
Fellas, Final Four. Wish you could join me. Not really. Hey, I gotta send a message out to Craig here. It's the holidays. I'm in a great mood. Bublé's playing on the radio non-stop. I'm in a giving mood. As you can see, Cam Newton decides to go out, wreck his car, so Derek Anderson's got to fill in. What do you know? A little early Christmas gift for you, Craig. Hope you enjoy that. Nonetheless, it's not going to matter much. Come to find out, Derek Anderson's got a lot more going for him than your quarterback. Let's start with the beard. Derek Anderson is freshly shaved, nice facial hair. Andrew Luck, nasty-ass neck beard. Don't know what that's all about. B, Derek Anderson fucks black bitches. Andrew Luck does not. Pretty sure that guy fucks goats on the family farm. Got that going. C, Derek Anderson, high school with a porn star. Apparently they were BFFs. I'm sure he got a little action behind the scenes there, friends with benefits. Andrew Luck, not so much. Spent too much time watching tape of his dad playing in his high school years, just trying to replicate that on his way to Stanford. Who the hell wants to go to Stanford? Not a lot of fun there. So, all that summed up, Derek Anderson's going to fill in just fine for Cam Newton on my way to the championship game. And your luck's going to run out this weekend, Craig. Peace. Merry Christmas.
Craig had this to say about the matchup.
Playoffs, round 2. It's right where I need to be. It's easy with you chumps in the league. Let's see here. Sorry it's a little late. I'm in the airport trying to get home. Little Rocky Mountain High, What do we got this week, Dan? Tough news, about Cam Newton. Hasn't been much help for you anyways, but yeah, I'll take it without him. Mark, again, it's going to be a great matchup when I face you in the championship. But like I said, it's going to repeat just like last time. 1, 2, 3, easy done, me champion. I'll take the money and I'll run. Peace.
The next game, you have myself versus Mark, the number 1 overall seed for this year's season. Obviously a tough game. Like I said, my team did not perform well last week. I just played a worse team. I don't have a tight end. I made a huge mistake of dropping Michael Rivera right before the playoffs, so now I'm left with Vernon Davis and Tim Wright. My wide receivers are suspect at best. all that being said, I can't go against myself because I'm not an unbiased party. I'm going to pick me to win, but it's going to be a hell of a battle to try to get that accomplished. Moving on, I just want everyone to remember that there are no more pickups. If you pick anyone up, they will be dropped off of your roster. Taking a look at some of the side bets that were made this year was kind of fun, except when it comes to losing. I lost a bet with Dan. For some reason, I told him that Shane Vereen would be a top 5 scoring fantasy football running back this year, so I owe him a 6-pack of beer. In my defense, I was pretty drunk when I made that bet, so, you know, things happen. Taking a look at another bet, Greg had bet Baus that Cam Newton would outscore RG3 by 40 or more points this year. It was a pretty crazy bet, but obviously, as usual, RG3 got hurt, making this a pretty easy bet for Greg to win, even though Cam Newton was injured himself this year. So Baus now owes Greg $20. Lastly, I bet single Kevin, $50 that Arian Foster would score in the top 7 out of all running backs in fantasy points. Even though Arian Foster did get injured this year and sat out 3 weeks, he still finished in the top 5, which just shows how great of a fantasy running back he really is as long as he's healthy. And that's it for the round 1 wrap-up. I'll see you guys next week.